is, now I know some of you up there are stronger opponents and opponents of expanded gambling, but can you describe a little, I mean, does that just not go far enough? Are you opposed to that as an option?
Well, I'll speak for myself. I'm not personally opposed to it. I think that we have to do it. But I would like to see revenue above and beyond, not just the stop.
I feel the same way. I'm not one way or the other. I'm from Youngstown. We had gambling here until last Friday. We always last night. What happened over the weekend? That day. That weekend. But yeah, it doesn't bother me that we have that. And it's certainly something that helps the issue. But, you know, I'm thinking, as I came to the legislature so many years ago, about who we are as Democrats and who we are and who we're supposed to be representing and what kind of state we want this to be. And I'm reminded constantly that as a Democrat, we care about making this state better through education. But if you don't fund education, it's not going to get better. If you really care as a Democrat that you believe in healthcare reform, but you're not willing to invest in it, then this state is not going to be getting any better. And you know, I could go through the list of all the issues that make us and describe what we are as Democrats. But in the end, it's really Republicans and Democrats want to make this state a better state. You would hope so. But how to get there are two different things. Some of us in the Democratic Party believe very strongly that we need to get a fairer tax system, that the failed tax systems of the Republicans just did not work over the last 14 years, particularly since 2005, and that we certainly have to look somewhere else. The Democrats, you know, we feel very strongly about those issues. On the other hand, the Republicans want to cut everything. And they're the party of no constantly. It's cut and cut and cut. Well, they haven't done anything except put this state where they are. I understand there's a national issue of the economy, but the fact is they did what they thought would make the state a better state. It didn't get better. There were no jobs created. And so we lost a tremendous amount of money, billions of dollars. Therefore, I just go back to what Dr. Delbert Dean had said, you know, the bipartisanship only works when you're close like this, but the fact is, we have a majority, and we should flex our muscle as a majority and show people how we are different in making this state a better state.
I'll comment on the racetrack issue because I consider myself a proponent of that for some time, and I wish we could have found a consensus earlier because we'd see some of those dollars already in to the coffers. I've studied this for a long time, long before I was elected, and I think I'm one of the few that actually understands the trickle-down effect of the economy. Even the side that's not the 50-some% that goes to the state has contributed to passport funding. It keeps seniors in the home. Even some of the governor's folks forgot about that when we met with them and had to recalculate because there'll be additional dollars for the passport out of the racing side. Not to mention all the dollars that go towards local county purses that keep the county fairs going, that fund local projects there at the county fairs, that help the local businessmen who sell pickup trucks, the guys who sell feed to the horses. These things actually have an economic impact. In addition to those dollars that I'd like to see, and we are surrounded by it. I think we're just, we've been in Austrians for a long time here. We're surrounded by it. People go all across around the state of Ohio, go to other states for it. So I've been a proponent for that, so I'll speak to that and only on my, only speaking for myself. And I would also say that we do find some common ground on some things, such as I think either the freeze or dealing with this tax cut. I think it is irresponsible for us not to deal with this tax cut that was passed in 2005, that any of us on the Democratic side didn't vote for that are still here today. States around Ohio and across the country are raising taxes, whether we can disagree or agree on those issues, but to give a tax cut, can anybody make a rational, sane argument for that? If it's about creating jobs, it hasn't worked. In fact, I would say it's hurt. Moody's lowered Ohio's bond rating, and they specifically spoke towards those cuts that came out of House Bill 66. We do exactly, the wrong thing to attract industry. Their own corporate site selection managers, so to say, it's about education of the workforce, infrastructure, police and fire, crime rates, those kinds of issues, why businesses come to an area. Well, when you lower the amount of revenue you have fix your infrastructure, to have police and fire protection, to make a quality life in the community, you reduce the chances of bringing business here. So I think Moody's recognized that. I think we have to be fiscally responsible and say, maybe it's not time to give people over $250,000 an $8,000 tax cut. When we're laying off state employees, when we're closing mental health hospitals, when we're talking about overcrowded prisons, closing libraries, I got over 10,000 emails from people in my district today about the cuts to libraries. And I think that we could be dealing with some questionable procedures when we look at dealing with the state employee retirement system. I'm not sure that that's an appropriate way to find cuts as well. So I think that we could solve the empty food bank problems. We can deal with some of these PERS questions. We can deal with the library cuts, and we can do a number of things to make Ohio a little bit more steady economically, giving folks at the top end continued tax cuts.
I would say this. I think that, as we've said out loud, that everything needs to be on the table when we're discussing this budget. I think that the easy places to start are on the higher income earners in the state, revisiting those, and then moving your way on the rest of that stuff. But look, but Dan and Bob are both right. House Bill 66 has done the state no economic good. It's put us way behind. It compares Ohio versus other states in terms of their tax structure and how House Bill 66 was enacted. We are no better off than we were 5 years ago when that bill was first implemented. In fact, we've gone down. We're worse. So I think looking at the income tax rollbacks first, especially on folks, the wealthier people in the society, is the first place to start. It's low-hanging fruit.
So are you saying that your governor is wrong when he says that he sees signs of success with these tax reforms?
Well, I haven't heard him say it, so I don't know if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard him.
He has said that he sees signs that they're working.
I think the governor might be misguided in thinking that they're working in some areas of the state. And I can stand here right before you and say that his created absolutely nothing in the home valley. And with all due respect to the governor, I think he's misguided on that issue about whether it's having an impact or not. As I said earlier, we know that this is a national economic problem. And we understand that that flows into all the states. But I want to just continue to talk about issues that set us up for this. Let me just say, with all due respect again to the governor, he was handed this budget by people that mishandled the budget for 14 years. And they're the ones that gave us the cat tax. Taken back, we would have exactly enough to balance the budget if we hadn't passed that. If we start looking at the holes that they made in our budget and were made that are now putting thousands of people out of work and hurting people through senior citizens, like the senior citizen programs and health care for children, that's their responsibility. They're the ones that did it. So the governor now is finding himself in a terrible place. As he explained it, I love to work in a bipartisan way. I disagree with that at this point. I don't think working in a bipartisan way has produced any good for this country.
What about extending the homestead exemption to wealthy homeowners? Is that also a mistake? A few $100 million there, probably a mistake.
I don't know if it was a mistake when it was made, but I think it's something that should be discussed now that needs tested. The governor was trying to do, I think what he felt was the right thing, and to help senior citizens at the time. We didn't have the economic downturn that we've had now, and that was not part of House Bill 66. I think that reviewing that, revisiting that decision, and seeing whether it should be needs sensitive, I think it's something we would all agree is something